Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. Here is your daily forecast for the day of Wednesday, June 20th, 2018. Now, what we've got going on today, at the very beginning of the day, is the moon right here in Virgo, the very last degrees, all right? So that's going to bring our attention to working, doing things, getting things done. Now at 5 a.m. this morning, Mountain Time, the moon in Virgo is going to square the sun in Gemini at the very last degrees. And what that's going to make it is a first quarter moon, typically characterized by action, doing things, initiating, making things happen. You know, the astrology hasn't been my favorite the past few days, but if you want to begin, start, do anything and any projects, this would be, I think, the best time to do it out of what we've had recently. Okay, so that's a lot of times, especially what first quarter moons are good for: initiating, doing things, for sure. Okay, yeah. And with the moon at the 29th degree of Virgo, could possibly be a good time for organizing too, cleaning things up, getting your life in order, taking care of some things that have been lingering on your mind for a while, okay? So that's what we have there. Then 2 hours later, what the moon's going to do is it's going to enter Libra at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, which is what it is right here in this chart. And when the moon's in Libra, it then brings our attention more to relationships, to working with other people one-on-one, also to finding the balance in our life as well, trying to balance things out. Especially with all these emotions we've been having a lot of lately. A moon in Libra is also a lot about judgment, fairness, looking back at our progress, the things that we've done, trying to decide whether or not we've done them right or wrong, and what we can do differently or better in order to improve on some of our plans, some of the work that we've done or initiated in Virgo. All right. So that's what we've got going on there. Then at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, this moon in Libra will come into an opposition with Chiron in Aries. For those of you who watch me, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Chiron. It could bring up some sensitivities or some insecurities early this morning, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. I think what's going on is we're trying to find the balance here in our life, to judge our progress, to hopefully do things better, or to work with relationships, and maybe us trying to work with relationships and do all of these things with Chiron being in Aries is preventing us from doing what we want, from doing the things that are important to us, from acting on the things that it is that we're passionate about, because we're taking a step back to make sure everyone else is okay, to make sure our progress is going the way that we want, and that may not allow us to do the things that we need or that super excite us in the process as we try to make sure everything else is in order. All right, so that's at 11 a.m. Then a few hours later, quite a few, at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, the moon, as it moves further through Libra, is then going to make a sextile over here to the North Node in Leo. And I think what that can give you at 6 p.m. Is an opportunity to, let's see, to work with other people in a way that makes you happy, to make some progress on some projects that it is that you enjoy, hopefully in a way that you feel a little bit better about. I do like the North Node. I think the North Node brings forward momentum. Leo, of course, is a very happy sign. I think finding more of the balance in our life, judging our progress, initiating some things coming off of this first quarter moon, is it helping us to be happier, to feel like we're moving forward, to doing the things more that can resonate with our hearts inside, even if it was a little bit difficult earlier in the day when the moon was in an opposition with Chiron. All right. So that's what's going on there. At the same time, the moon is making a sextile to the North Node in Leo. It's also making a square to Saturn in Capricorn, all right, at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So right as we're trying to make some progress, to be happier, to feel like maybe we're getting a little bit more of a handle on our life, and some of the things have been going on some of our emotions, we then get hit with this hard Saturn square saying, okay, it's good for you to find the balance. It's good for you to start to feel better, but how can you take these things that you're figuring out today, and how can you work with your relationships and commit to them and bring them more into your life and use them to your advantage to move your life in the right direction. okay, that comes in. So it's kind of like an interesting situation around 6 p.m. at night where there's like this positive aspect, like finally starting to feel like, okay, now I'm doing more or figuring out more what I need to be happy. But then it's serious, having to be committed, having to think long term, not just about how you can be happy today, happy in the moment, but how you can bring it all together and have the balance that you hopefully find today stay with you more long term. All right, so that's going to happen there. Then at 9 p.m., the moon's going to move further through Libra and make a sextile to Venus, which is very, very close to the North Node, too. Again, helping you to work more with relationships with the other people in your life. There still may be some of the restriction of Saturn that you may feel since all of this is happening pretty closely together. Trying to figure out, okay, now that I'm getting these insights, how do I move everything together? Stick with this long term, put my life in the right direction. But I think you're at least getting more of an understanding after that about what you value, about what relationships you need in your life, about how to work with people that I do see being positive. Okay, then the next thing that happens is going to be at 11 p.m. Mountain Time, and the moon is then going to make a trine over here to Mars in Aquarius. And the moon making this trine to Mars, I think is then going to help us, I want to say, think more about our future a little bit, since Aquarius is a very future thinking sign. Maybe even to work with some of our relationships, to socialize with people, to be out and about, more in the mind here with these two air signs involved, to try to envision a life for yourself. Hopefully now that you're doing things that can bring more balance into your life in some way. Okay, so I think that's a lot of what's going on today. It's like we're trying to be more balanced, get a handle on some of these emotions, work with other people perhaps to help us do the things that it is that we need, for sure. Maybe a little bit uncomfortable at the beginning of the day with the moon in opposition with Chiron, because as we're trying to find the balance, maybe we need to sacrifice some of our own needs. But I think the more and more we move throughout the day, we start to realize, okay, this balance is really helping me be happier, even if I have to figure out how to take the balance that I found, how to work with people in the way that you work with people today, and kind of move them forward to have them stick with you, all right? So I like it. And then once you, I think, get more of an idea of what you need to be happier and to how you can commit to that, then it gets a little bit easier to envision your future, to think about your future, different options for what your life may be like, to consider your options for that. To talk to your relationships about where your life's going. Again, with Mars about to go retrograde, I think next week in Aquarius on the South Node, I don't think like all of the answers about your future are coming into place at this nighttime when the moon trines Mars, but I think slowly more insights are starting to come, or you're starting to get more of the wheels turning to help figure that out. All right, and I think once Mars actually goes retrograde, I do like to think that some of the frustrations will ease up, because right now we're like, Mars is still moving forward, but it's stationing on the South Node, and I feel like once Mars goes retrograde, it'll be like, okay, finally, like maybe I'm not where I see my life yet, maybe I don't know where my future is going yet, but at least you're gonna start to feel like you're working things out more and more, and even if you don't have all the answers, like they're going somewhere. And I feel like right now we keep like spinning our wheels, like the future, what is the future? Where is it going? I don't really know. What does life look like now that my life has changed? And I think we're thinking about that today as we're getting more balance in our life. But I think as Mars goes retrograde, we're going to get more and more of that story so that we won't feel like a little bit in limbo at the moment. All right. So that's what's going on there. Sorry, my brain's just like a little slow tonight. But I'm like, I have to film these videos. Trying to cultivate good habits here and just power through them. So we've got that. Other things going on in the background. Venus in a conjunction with the North Node, which is a big alignment. Doesn't happen that often. Really bringing, I think, relationships to the forefront. Relationships being key, especially with the moon in Libra, a Venus-ruled sign today. I think working with other people, figuring out how to work with others, talking to others about what's on your heart, about what makes you happy, is going to be very important. Letting your heart lead as well will be key. Okay. following your heart, doing what makes you happy, or giving space for your hearts to speak. All right. Also, Venus doesn't only rule relationships, even though the moon is going to be in Libra, the sign of relationships, but also rules money as well, and your value systems, the Taurus side of Venus. So it could be a lot as well as trying to figure out your money, work with your money, adjust your value systems in a really positive way so you can birth the new you into being here, even if there are still some questions going on. All right. Venus as well today is going to be in opposition with Mars. So again, that could be a little frustrating. We want to do one thing, but our heart now is calling us in another direction, okay, and needing to just balance that out, especially with Mars in such a hard spot. You know, it's like we want to listen to our heart. We want to move forward, but there's also a part of us that wants to socialize, that wants to check out, that wants to take a back seat, that wants to detach. There may also be part of us too that really wants to know where our life is going. Like, how can we lead? How can we do things that make us happy if we don't know how all the big picture is going to add up? And it's almost kind of like being a little bit blind here, but just kind of feeling things out to see where things are going. All right, even if everything's not clear yet about how it'll all add up. If you need space, if you need time out for a second, like take time out, with Mars here on the South Node to process things emotionally, or to detach, not even emotionally, to process things intellectually, to detach, but don't detach for too long. Once you take some time out, then come back, listen to your heart, reflect on the things that went on intellectually, So a lot of times oppositions are all about balance. Getting the balance just right could be very important between doing things and doing things that really resonate with your value systems. All right, we also do have Venus in the North Node and a quincunx to Saturn as well. I didn't really mention that, but quincunxes can bring frustrations. I was just watching a video that's like, a quincunx is the archetype of crisis. Brings crisis points, or what feels like crises in a person's life. And of course the crisis, if you will, with this is that we're really trying to listen to our heart. With me, I don't even know if we're trying. I think we need to listen to our heart, be open to receive what is coming to us. With Venus here in the North Node, and that's really hard because we have a lot of responsibilities. We have a lot of big things about life looming over our heads, that's really important. So that could definitely be frustrating. Is like, well, how do I be happy when I've got so much else going on? How do I listen to my heart, let go of control, relinquish some of the things that I've got going on when I really need to make sure that everything's okay. I've got a lot of things I need to take care of. I'm responsible for a lot of people. I've got, and so I think that's a little bit part of the struggle. With quincunxes, it's hard to really offer advice on that because they're different. They're just two signs that don't quite see eye to eye. So the advice that I can give you for that is, if you find that it's hard to be happy in your life with everything going on, with the weight of the world on your shoulders, the message of a quincunx is to try something totally different that you haven't tried before. Try a third option, try something weird, try something unusual. There's something you've been thinking about doing that you haven't done before, that you think might help you, might provide some answers or solutions, then do it. It's a first quarter moon. Try something weird to make yourself feel better that you haven't tried before. Maybe that's the missing piece. It's like we keep trying and trying and trying, and it's like things may not be falling into place quite in the way that we want. And I think the message is, you got to keep trying different things. Don't keep trying. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over again. If it's not working, do something else. That's the thing with the quincunx. You have to keep doing different things. Okay, let me try this. Did this work? No. Okay, let me try this. Did this work? Okay, no. What about this? And I think with quincunxes, we get really frustrated. Well, I'm never going to be happy with these commitments. These commitments are really weighing on me. How can I do what I really want? And then we give up. And I think the message of the quincunx is, no, you gotta keep trying weird ways to work these two planets together, even if it's an unusual solution, even if it's something you haven't done before, or even if it doesn't feel quite right. It could be just what you need. All right, we also do have Mercury in Cancer and a trine with Jupiter, coming into a trine with Neptune, with Jupiter and Neptune in a trine with each other, making this a grand water trine. I think can make you very emotional and very sensitive, so be aware of that with all of these water signs involved. But I do like to think underneath the emotion and the sensitivity, there is opportunity for insights, for healing, to understand what you're feeling, to get more insights on some of those things. All right, so I do see that as well. You may need to make some changes or have some intense conversations with Mercury going to oppose Pluto towards the end of this week about the things that you feel, about the things that you realize this week, about the things that are frustrating you, and how you can bridge the gap between what your heart wants and what your emotions are saying and what your responsibilities are demanding of you. But those conversations won't come till a few days later, and I think right now we're just trying to sit with some emotions so that we know what kind of conversations we need to have or what needs to change so that we can work some things out. Okay, the Sun also at the last degree of Gemini, a lot of conversations, again, thinking emotionally, thinking about your feelings, trying to process your emotions, even if some negotiations will come up later this week. The Sun in Gemini about to enter Cancer soon, I think today, the solstice, or tomorrow, as well, could then start to bring our emotions as we move further throughout the day and into tomorrow, more of our identity to feeling things, more emotional stuff could be coming up that we need to process. The Sun, as it moves into Cancer, will make a sextile to Uranus and a trine and a square to Chiron. So I do think that, again, even though I like this water trine, really helping us, I think, to get some emotional insights, to process our emotions, to understand our emotions. We could as well have some sensitivities that do come up tomorrow very quickly about who we are, about how we do things. And I think even though we're getting insights as well at the same time about how we can do more things in our life, that we need to feel more stable and secure. And I think really just needing to be patient. If that comes up, I think there is opportunity for healing with this grand water trine and with the Sun in a square with Chiron, but it just may take some effort in order to get to the healing. It just may take some negotiations with yourself, with other people, some changes towards the end of this week. And with the quincunx, it may require you to do something different than what you've done before to try to work some issues out, you know? Yeah. Super interesting what's going on now astrologically. I'm like, man, Saturn too is coming back into a square with Chiron, a trine to Uranus. Things are gonna get crazy. They're gonna get crazy a little bit later on. And true, we've got the eclipses coming later as well. But I know, I would just, yeah, it's just, the astrology is just so weird right now. So weird. A lot of emotional stuff going on, sensitivities, thinking about your emotions, like deep feelings. And as we have these deep feelings, we've got like Venus in the North Node in a fire sign, like asking us to be happy and have fun. And it's like, how can we be happy and have fun when there's so many feelings and sensitivities going on? And then we've got so many responsibilities about things. So it's just like really strange where there's like a lot of different things in our life going on, and it's like, how do we bring all of this together? You know, that's the thing. That may take a few wrong tries before the right one hits us, before we get our groove. Yeah. So that's what I'll leave you with there. Your card is the 7. It's the 7 of Swords reversed. Normally this card, when it's upright, is all about doing things in secret, trying to get away with something like behind someone's back. And when this card is reversed, it says, don't try to do things in secret. Why hide things from people? Be open about how it is that you're feeling. Let people know what's going on with you on the inside. I think that'll really help, you know, especially because we're so emotional, we're so sensitive. I think if you can, you know, I think if you can let people know, like in a Venus way, gently, and if you can again lead with your heart. I think I've been saying that for a while, and not lead with anger, but lead with sensitivity, and let people in. Maybe other people will have solutions that it is that you need, or be willing to help you. But I think this card is saying, like, especially with the moon in Libra, right, and this card is for the day, like, you shouldn't have to go it alone. You shouldn't have to do things alone. You know, maybe other people need to know. It doesn't have to be a lot of people. Maybe there's just one other person in your life. If you could just let them in on what you're feeling, it would help. Maybe too, this card is also saying, don't hide what's going on with you from yourself either. Sometimes we do that. We can blind ourselves to what's really happening. Maybe that's more of another card in the tarot, but I'm just feeling it with this card as well. You know, it's like if there's something going on within you, like maybe try to parse it out more, especially with the sun at the 29th degree of Gemini. Try to parse out some of the details to get to the bottom of what it is that's really going on within you, which might be the first step to coming up with the positive solution. All right, so that's what I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching my horoscope. If you like it, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and I will talk to you later.